Hi, my name is Daniela Retonda from BSc 1-3. My topic for today are all about relative deprivation theory and Jordan's string theory. First is relative deprivation theory by Samuel A. Stoffer, where Samuel A. Stoffer is an American sociologist who developed this theory. He was born in Little Town in Sac City in Western Iowa. He was also a founder of large quantitative research and received his PhD in 1930. So, what does relative deprivation means? We have the word deprived. It is a suffering a severe and damaging of lack of basic materials and cultural benefits. And it refers to inequality, where the idea that people are feeling deprived materially or in other ways compared to others in society. And it's also a feeling of worse off when you're comparing two. So, relative deprivation theory in criminology was first used in 1980s by Stack, Braithwaite, and Deprivation. They said that it is distinct from but strongly related to strain, because when the more a person felt deprived, it is it puts a lot of pressure that causes strain, where strain is equivalent to stress. So, in relative deprivation, if the relative deprivation will increase, if the gap between rich and poor increases too. When the poor sees the rich who gain a lot of benefits or things, the higher the pressure they felt deprived. Since we are in a modern world, we are living in a modern technology, we are bombarded by daily mails in a social media through Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and the others social media. There are lots of posts where they share their stories that they having some fun, they eating like this, and they own this thing, and they tell how good is their life, and that good life involves consumptions and adds to unfairness felt by those who can afford it. Which means rising living standards and rising crime levels. How can we say? Because when there's a rising living standard, the more pressure that the person who is poor will have will gain a lot of pressure that will push him or her to commit a crime just to adapt in the living standard. So left realists suggest that alongside marginalization and subcultures is also a significant cause of crime. But they said also that it differs from Marxists, where poverty causes crime. Because in relative deprivation theory, it is not the people who are poorer, but they live in a close proximity with people who are much richer. We could say that when a person always see this rich person, he will always or every day felt deprived, and that's why relative deprivation means it's not the person who are poorer, but they live in a close proximity with the who are much richer. So, if relative deprivation is present, the feelings of injustice might be influenced the influence their behavior of that person. We can say that the more feeling of, if the person felt deprived and the more stress, it will cause a lot of negative and might also result to criminal acts. But it says also that criminality may decrease if fewer people politically marginalized felt politically marginalized. There should be an equal treatment to everyone. What the others have must also must also what the other gain benefits, they must be equal to others also. So that will lessen the deprived, the being deprived. You can also says that when the government treated equally everyone, it will lessen the deprivation. So we said that criminality arises from unfair distribution of wealth because everyone wants to be treated equally. So if others not treated equally, they might do a criminal act just to be fair. So we have Walter Ranciman listed the effects for required conditions. These are the effects or conditions that help him to define what is relative deprivation means. So, a person does not have something who felt deprived. That person knows other people who have the thing. That person wants to have the thing, and that person believes he or she has a reasonable chance of getting that thing. So in these four required conditions, we have the elements of crime. The three: the desire, the opportunity, and the capability. Because in this part, if he believes that he has a reasonable chance, means an opportunity, great opportunity. And here, he wants to have that thing, is desire. And that person knows other people who have the thing, and a person does not have the thing, will focus on his capability to get that thing. So three elements of crime is present for relative deprivation. So after defining relative deprivation and relating it to criminality, we have two types of relative deprivation: the egoistic and paternalistic. For egoistic, it is driven by individual feelings of being treated unfairly compared to the group. An individual person was comparing his or herself to in a group. But in paternalistic, it is more often associated with a massive group, or example is the Black American who was treated unequal or unfairly by the white Americans. So that's all for relative deprivation. Next is the general strain theory by Robert Agnew. Robert Agnew is a pioneer of general strain theory. He was born in December 1, 1953, sociology professor, and received its 2015 Edwin H. Sutherland, which is generally known as Lifetime Award in Criminology. So, what does general strain theory? We define strain as a stress. But in general strain theory, it is how the people react to the stress or the stressor, and how he or she will cope it by the use of his coping mechanism. If that person has an unhealthy coping mechanism, it might turn to crime. So, strain is based on three different factors: failure to achieve goal, The removal of positive impulses and the existence of harmful impulses. For failure to achieve goal is example, failing grades, um, failing to get that thing, or there's a blockage of goal. Then the removal of positive impulses is when someone of our loved ones died, and the existence is when there's someone hurting us, like someone bully. And these are the causes of strain. So it says that stress produces negative emotion that promote delinquent behavior without adequate coping skills. If the person was stressed and does not have a good coping mechanism, it might turn to delinquency, or you could say into criminal acts, because you could say that he doesn't know what to do to how to how to manage his stress. So what I said, strain leads to criminal acts. The more pressure to the person, and the the more that he or she could not think carefully on what to do to that stress, that might lead to criminal acts. So if you are lacking of intelligence, problem solving skills, creativity, and other coping mechanism, you might commit a crime, and you are lack of coping skills. So these slides tells criminal environment and criminal character trait. My traits have a negative influence to dealing with the stress, because when you are already stressed and your surrounding are negative, you don't know what to do. You might it is the higher pressure, and that will increase your criminal acts, because you're already stressed, you're already surrounded by negative, means you may act negative too. So for Agnew 1992, criminal acts can be instrumental, retaliatory, escapist. For instrumental, if you lost something, for example, you lost a cell phone and you saw an iPhone on the table and there's no one looking at you grab the opportunity to get it, for you to have a phone, and that's what a criminal acts, being a thief, or being a thief. Retaliatory is hitting back at the source of strain. For me, it is a revenge, where when someone bully you, you take revenge for what he did to you, and you kill him or her. That cause where killing is a criminal act also. Next is the escapist, seeking comfort from unpleasant states of anger and strain. And one of the example is the using of drugs. You use drugs to take the pain all away and forget everything. So this is the criminal acts can be for Agni 1992. So what are the relationship of relative deprivation and general strain theory? First, the concept of strain being seen as unjust, for example, is based on the perception of relative deprivation which an individual feels that they are deprived. The frustration which may occur due to blocked goals is what I said, the failure to achieve goals in general strain can result in delinquent behaviors are the outcomes of relative deprivation. And also the experience of strain and involvement of delinquency, they have also that. And relative deprivation is a form of strain which is based on perceived injustices and shortcomings. So this is relative deprivation and general strain theory. So thank you.